the expression of who we are, whether that be masculine presenting or feminine presenting, is constantly evolving. Hello, and welcome to another episode of On Being. In today's episode, I'm going to address being effeminate. When I was younger, I was more feminine presenting. As I have had more life experiences, I enjoy presenting myself as more masculine. The fact that me being gay gives me a more feminine outlook on different dispositions in life. Femininity is not sexuality. You can be effeminate and straight. You can be effeminate and gay. How we present ourselves in the world depends on our culture, who we surround ourselves with, the type of content that we consume. All of these digestible materials make up the whole of who we are. As I've gotten older, I have spent more time in the gym and around gym bros. I enjoy sculpting my body in the way that my body feels when I am in the gym. This has given me a more masculine presenting feature, but that doesn't change the shape of who I am, whom I choose to love, how I choose to love, and how I choose to express my personhood, completely my own. My sexuality is also my own. I think there is such a push to define and identify with specific groups that we leave out an entire nuance that is lost on either or mentality. And I think that has been what I have most appreciated about modern day LGBT movement and activism. This push for identity to be more liberal than what we previously thought. In my interpretation of a liberal identity, I can be born as a man and present myself as who I truly am. And I think that is where the nuances of identity stem from. How this relates to my personal life. I am more masculine presenting because of the time that I spend in the gym, my height, my weight. These factors sculpt a preconceived notion of masculinity. But my interest, the music that I love to listen to, who I am as a person, my inner artist, this is more feminine and free. And I think the mix of these two energies creates something very unique. And I love to see that in different people, men and women, outside of the sexuality that we choose to embrace or embody. Earlier this year, I decided I was going to commit to a psychology degree. Obtaining a degree has been my Achilles heel for the last 10 years. I have been a sophomore, junior, ever since I was out of high school. And I currently am in the same position now. I've switched from sociology to anthropology to psychology. And I finally found like I found a place where I can thrive and flourish. All of these different specialities really speak to who I am as a person, how I care about humans, and what that yearning for learning and education of the human means for me. I grew up in a more religious, dogmatic upbringing. And now I find that more secular education sprinkled in with spirituality and religious practices really satisfy my heart. I enjoy understanding the nuance of a person, and I think that comes with being curious about who someone is. I've utilized this curiosity to zone into some of my closest friendships and my most intimate relationships. Understanding how someone loves, whether that be my boyfriend or a one-night stand, which is difficult to do and I don't recommend for anyone trying. Flipping that curiosity around on myself and asking myself, how do I love? How do I live? This is what is so special about this time in my life. I turned 29 a couple of weeks ago, and this is the age where you're on the cusp of finally growing up. Not exactly having everything settled, fine, 30 has been the age of actualization for me, for my dreams, my aspirations, both professionally and personally. This introspective time of being on the cusp of that age has really given me some perspective to sympathize with who I am, in both my feminine and masculine ways. I think it's so beautiful when a person can present to you themselves as they are. And each time I am presented with the truth of who someone is, takes me a bit. I am so used to people acquiescing to a specific way of manipulation in order to gain my trust or my attention or commitment. Having someone who doesn't care about that is so much like my younger brother. I don't want to get too off of topic here. I really want to talk about how you present yourself as an entity, whether that be masculine or feminine, allowing yourself the freedom of choice to have an identity outside of sexuality is something that I would like to see from our world, from our cultures, and specifically my American culture. The longer that I live in Europe, it's been 2 years now, the more that I see a willingness for the male roles to be less, and this is specifically French culture, overbearing than their Western American counterparts. Now, this is neither good nor bad, it's a different culture, but it's something that I appreciate and it's something that I love while being here. There are times when I'm having a conversation with someone, and oftentimes you can kind of tell what someone likes by how they look at you and where they're looking at you and for how long they're looking at you. But outside of attraction, identity can be more soft, more feminine in a culture that allows it. And I have noticed myself being more feminine or being more masculine at times. It doesn't feel as much as an act as it did when I was living in the States and I had to keep up, to catch up, to compete with my peers. Here I don't feel like I'm competing with anyone. Everyone has their own side of the sidewalk. And they're okay with stepping to the side or bumping into you if you're if you're coming on a little bit too strong. It's a simple episode, but I just wanted to share with you that who you are is worthy, whether that is a man who is more feminine, a they who is more masculine at times, depending on the day, depending on the moment. This fluidity of identity is not always sexual. If we stopped sexualizing identity, it would be so revolutionary to walk into a space in which what you did in the bedroom was not at the forefront of my mind. How you present yourself as this creative artistic being, whether that is in more drab, more black, more neutral colors, or in more colorful, bold. These ideas are subjective and they're beautiful and they're mine, and that is all the time that I have for today's episode of On Being. I have to catch a train and see my boyfriend. We are going to go to a recital tonight. Let me know if you guys would like to see maybe a full day of vlogging. I would love to show you some of my Paris, where I live, where I work, where I hang out, where I go to the gym and have my coffee. And if you're interested in seeing that, I'd love to know. So let me know in the comment section below. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I can't wait to see you on tomorrow's episode of On Being. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and I can't wait to see you next time.